Hello and welcome to my first video on YouTube that includes my voice. My name is Space-Powered Isaac, SPI for short, and I've been a nerd for quite some time. I genuinely enjoy high lore and am obsessed with Elder Scrolls primarily. However, while it's relevant in my life, and the YouTube's algorithm, I'm going to discuss the wildly popular and phenomenal League of Legends inspired in-universe Netflix original Arcane. It's just a really good show, and if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. I mean, it's just great. Also, you shouldn't be watching this video if you haven't seen it. I can assume at this point that if you're still watching this video, that you are okay with spoilers, because I will be giving them. In broad strokes, the plot can be generally condensed into class warfare biting the upper caste in the ass the same way it's been ravaging the slums. That's fairly straightforward, but I don't think that's it. I think there's a lot more subtlety and narrative parallels and opposites worth looking into. First impressions from the show are almost always going to be about its unique blend of 3D and 2D art with excellent composition, VFX, special effects, framing, scene setup, the faces, the cast, the voice acting, everything. It is a well put together show that honestly deserves all of the praise that it's getting. It is phenomenal. It almost makes me want to check out League of Legends, but I do have a shred of decency left and will not do that. No. I'm here to do what my dad says I do too much, and break down this series into bite-sized, overanalyzed, nerdy points. I am going to, quote-unquote, talk it to death. Our story truly begins when Piltover was founded. That's the 1940s-esque hyper-clean steampunk city of progress that we find most of the upper crust either from, or within the plot of Arcane. A quick side note here, for the nerdier among us. I was researching the League of Legends Runeterra timelines, and I found some larger inconsistencies with the series Arcane and the games. So I'm not going to be fixating on the dates and the actual timeline of events presented by the games versus the TV show, so much as I'm going to be focusing on the relationships that we're presented with on screen. Because a story is not told in numbers, a story is told in feelings, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Today I'm going to be mostly talking about the children that we were introduced to in Act 1 of the Arcane series. Mostly Jinx and Vi, their relationships with each other and the people around them. My first thing to note is the parallels that Jinx herself, known as Powder in the beginning, has with at least 3 other characters in her own unique way. 4 if you count Joker from the Batman's Rogues Gallery. The quickest one people would jump to, and they'd probably be right to do so, would be Vi or Silco. And you're not wrong if you assume that. There's just more in my opinion, and none of them are quite a perfect fit. She's a narrative chimera, a reflection of some of the little parts of everyone else around her, and that's okay. Starting with Vi, which is the obvious answer, and those usually net us something, the big sister, little sister dynamic. One's naturally strong, and one has to become strong after failure. They as a unit parallel the relationships Silco and Vander also shared, those born strong, shadowing those who must take it as the downtrodden oft demand. The less obvious, but still masterfully hinted towards, is Echo and Jinx, whose parallels start with Powder, not Jinx, who should be separated narratively because frankly the tinge of insanity and drama that marks Jinx makes her a completely different person than the Powder you're introduced to. The strongest correlation between these characters is a visual representation of animal guides. Echo is surrounded by the firelight motif. That's the small glowing insect that shows up at pivotal moments and in all but one instance represents purity, growth, and potential to change. Jinx is made mechanical, explosive firelights, a cruel deception of an otherwise beautiful reality, that make another child lose a father, the same way the upper crust had done to her. She is the enemy that she became strong to stop. She's accompanied by a crow motif, especially in the last arc between herself and Echo. The lore community is divided on if it means her relationship to darkness as a concept, or her relationship to Silco and friends, but that's much less important to the fact we know the emotions are opposite Echo's positive change and compassion. She's the bad guy, regardless of why she's the bad guy. Echo up to this point spent his time building a haven for orphans, fighting the war on drugs, building tech to make children happy. He's the hero Zal needed, everything Vander wanted in the world. Conversely, Jinx isn't. She's someone who was beaten and broken by a world she was too weak to handle. In the ways she becomes strong, do not allow for herself to temper that strength or reason with it. She's forged herself into the poison, becoming immune, but in the process becoming a monster. It doesn't help that she's a walking shimmer vat either. I can't help but feel for her character. There's a deep sadness to her, the world demanding she keeps up, and then when she finally reaches the goal that they set, they move the goalpost. She's a truly beautiful representation of how rampant capitalism preys on the weakest of us, chewing up children and others who cannot defend themselves, only to spit them out in the image of the enemy they claim is the reason they're allowed to chew on them in the first place. Remaining on the topic of Jinx, her relationship with Vi is nuanced to a ridiculous degree. And Powder's striving to keep up with her big sister using her intelligence, which is the only way she can since she is weaker than everyone else in the entire cast. She accidentally kills 2 of her childhood friends and finishes off her adoptive father, all in front of Vi. As you can guess, neither child reacts calmly to this triple homicide during a hostage situation. Vi punches Powder, screaming at her, cementing that blame in the younger sister's brain. Silco becomes an accidental supporter of the wayward orphan, noticing how much they're alike. Powder lays down, and Jinx stands up. Again, we run into some timeline kerfuffle, but let's assume 10 years is a good number, and let's talk prison time. Vi is imprisoned for an apartment break-in gone wrong. That's the very same one that Powder got the tech that she got a triple kill of loved ones on. During this time in prison, Vi forges herself into a weapon, 2 fists against the world. You literally see her punching at the walls of the building that contains her. She's got a reputation. She strikes fear into hearts and commands respect from all those who witness her. She does all of this trying to survive to see Powder, trying to save Powder. Conversely, in the same time period, Jinx has been getting stronger herself, fronting the burden she was once protected from by her family, by her friends. They never left her. The voices she hears are the ghost of the ones she's lost, to include Vi, who is currently lost to her, urging her into strength, into speed, and most importantly, into solitude. You've got Vi trying to survive to heal the wounds that she's caused, and Jinx trying to survive to atone for the ones that she's caused, to prove her worth. They're very similar, as sisters often are. That is why it is so sad that insanity and pain, mixed with an abusive police state, rip them into 2 incompatible walks of life. Vi eventually returns to her home with Caitlyn, her newfound lover and assistant. And no, I will not be accepting any counter-arguments to their relationship. They are simply gay. The relationship Caitlyn and Vi share is best described by a simple pair of lines I've written. Vi is crawling out of the mud she was born in, desperately wanting to get clean, whereas Caitlyn is trying to wash the mud off the world, and she is willing to get dirty. They are a marriage of reaching up and stooping down. The middle of Zaln and Piltover, that gray in between that Vander died dreaming of, that Silco kills for, that Victor and Jace dream of, and that Jinx ruins. Eventually, Jinx kidnaps Silco, Vi, and Caitlyn, setting up her own gauntlet, deciding that Vi is going to be her deciding factor. A couple of insane moments later, the crow remains. The old crow is dead, and Jinx stands there, staring at the building that took her parents, her second dad, her friends, and her soul. She is staring at a cruel, indifferent god. All of this rage culminates in Jinx looking to the shining towers that she is not welcome in, seeing her own sister with a shining girl that she is nothing like, and hating the world that made her dull. So, having learned from Vander and Echo and Violet, having learned from her past, she decides to change the world that she doesn't like and stop changing herself for the world. Boom. This video was primarily about the children we watched grow up in Arcane. I will be making more videos in the future about other characters and other locations, and God forbid I delve further into League of Legends lore, but we'll see. Lastly and specifically, I would like to thank Riot Games Music and all of the wonderful creators that are making free-to-use music for people to use in their videos. It is a wonderful community that I'm slowly becoming involved with. I'm loving everything they're doing. I'm loving their corporate atmosphere. Everything about them just screams that they care about the people who use their products. And I am deeply grateful and very appreciative of the fact that they went out of their way to produce music for people like me to use in our content for free, as long as we don't do anything excessive. And I think that is just wonderful. I'm going to link below the Sessions Vi that I used, the Creator Save collection. You can search it up on YouTube, click the link in the description either way, and it's going to be some really great content. They have another one out right now, and go to their website in their description for more information on how to properly use it and how to properly source it. And lastly, a message from my biggest supporter, Nishan. What do you want to say?
Hey everybody. Hope you enjoy and have a good day.
Thanks, buddy.